Let me do the same.
Yep.
Got it. And I'm not sure if I can now do the same. 1 second.
I'll share it with you.
Okay, fine. All right, we're on air. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining the largest, fastest growing, and the most active virtual these days, but sometimes in person webinar and community. It's large scale Scrum. Now it's global. Today we have a special guest whom I would like to greet. It's Heidi. And Heidi is a global consultant and inventor and author with over 2 decades of experience. She has dedicated her career to driving multi-million-dollar business improvements using a people-first approach. Heidi's experience and expertise lies in enhancing organizational effectiveness and fostering innovation. With a huge interest in artificial intelligence and its innovative potential, Heidi has immersed herself in building AI chatbots for authors and content creators participating in a data science program at MIT, and she's actively studying and utilizing large language models. These pursuits underscore Heidi's belief in AI's significant impact on our lives and careers. Today, she will talk to us about how to navigate yourself in the uncertain job market during the era of AI. So without any further ado, I would like to pass the baton over to Heidi. The floor is yours. Please take it away and share with us your wisdom.
Thank you so much. Really pleased to be here today. So if you participated in the poll, it looks like a lot of people have a full-time job, and yet some people are looking for jobs already. So I did that poll in the beginning, so I'm going to skip past this and get started. We're going to cover a lot of ground today. This talk will come in 3 parts. But before we get started, I'm going to share what we won't cover. We're not going to cover all the tools you can use to submit to many more jobs, or how to customize your resume and cover letter using AI. Not that I don't recommend some of those things, but there are other things I believe will be more valuable. So you're not only responding to change, but setting yourself up for success from now on. So whether you have a job today, or you're looking, or maybe just considering changing careers or adding some new knowledge, I really hope this talk helps you. This is a new talk, so I'd love your feedback along the way. Please type in the chat. I won't get to see everything in the chat, and maybe Jean can keep tabs on the chat. And all the images in this deck were created with Midjourney, except for one, and I'll let you guess which one. So without further ado, I'm going to get started. This talk is a very personal story, so I'm going to be telling you open and honest stories about myself, which might help you when you're thinking how you can relate to some of those things in your life. I aim to provide pragmatic strategies to help you thrive in complexity. So this is my story of discovery and growth in a rapidly changing world that started when I was 20 years old. So let me start with this. Imagine yourself graduating from university in December 1991 with a degree in Russian and linguistics. Imagining a career building bridges between the Soviets and Americans, and imagining on December 25th, 1991, the Soviet hammer and sickle flag lowered for the last time over the Kremlin, and realizing this meant a flood of Russian-speaking people to the US. Clearly, I had to rethink what I was doing before I even started. My degree was already out of date, and I didn't even have the official certificate. So that started this evolution of my career. It's never been a set it and forget it, stable kind of career. I never had anyone to fall back on if I lost my job. The job market was always something I was extremely attuned to as a result, in case I needed to find a new one suddenly. So that meant I was always exploring ways to remain employable. And somehow along the way, I gained a radar for when things would go wrong or when they would change. Well, you can imagine why, right? My survival really relied on it. I realized I enjoyed research and writing, so I became a tech writer before it was even a career. That career died off after, I'd say, a good long run. And I reinvented myself as an analyst, and I got a job at NASA, then decided to help companies adopt Agile without making too long of a story, without telling everything now, which you'll hear along the way. I hope by the end of this talk, you're going to understand why I'm uniquely qualified to speak about thriving in an uncertain job market in an exponentially uncertain world, and why I'm passionate about helping others on this journey. We're going to talk through the current state of the job market, through the impact posed by AI, why it's not just AI we have to look out for, and I'm going to leave you with some questions and hopefully some actionable strategies that you can employ along the way. Maybe you can just type in the chat. Do you feel prepared to continue making a living in an exponentially uncertain era? Maybe that's why you're here. Cool. Thank you. I love that that folks are typing in the chat because that makes it much more interactive. So let's see, how prepared do you feel? Since November, I've been studying various reports and information sources on the current job market in tech and outside tech. I've spoken with finance professionals, researchers, combed through a bunch of data. So the market situation is interesting, to say the least. Just like this little circuit board robot with one green eye and one red one, it seems to have two minds. So here's the long and short of it. Layoffs are still happening. Job losses have gone down, and it looks like we might be on a pace to fall between 2022 and 2023 if the first quarter of this year is any guide for what happens to the rest of the year. Of course, that number could land anywhere. They could pretty much stop tomorrow. Things could turn around. So I grabbed this data from layoffs.fyi yesterday, and it had gone up by 800 people since I grabbed the previous one on the 17th. So this is unofficial, but it's a really good source to see what's going on overall. And the data, by the way, only goes back to 2022. The layoffs are actually much lower than this time in 2023, but that may not make it feel any better for you because there might be a cumulative effect. And some of those folks may still be looking for jobs who were laid off earlier. A quarter of the respondents from that survey I sent out on LinkedIn have been looking for more than a year, but it was a really tiny sample at 23 people. And the people who chose to answer that were probably be more likely to be unemployed. However, I will say the January jobs report just came out, and job growth surged way more than expected. Economic prospects are good, as it turns out, and health and education led in job growth. So what is going on? That means that overall, the job market is not bad. It's just terrible in tech at the moment. Tech has experienced much lower than average unemployment for as long as I can remember, and a job in tech was always a sure bet. So the problem is that we are experiencing this microcosm, and it's impacting those of us in tech disproportionately right now. Not to mention, these are some of the best paying jobs out there. So while an ultrasound technician, like my friend was considering, is a good paying job, it's very, very different than tech. And though plumbers are in very short supply right now, few people may want to move from tech to plumbing. So if the economy is good, why are tech companies doing layoffs? First off, interest rates have gone up a lot. That impacts a lot of businesses who would get loans. Secondly, for years, we have known that the end of favorable tax laws for tech companies was coming to an end. It's called Section 174. Few people were talking about it because they thought that that would be repealed, but it wasn't. So now all costs related to R&D cannot be expensed, including labor for software development. That has a huge impact because those costs now need to be capitalized and amortized over 5 years. That means the tax burden for tech companies is now much, much higher than it has been for many years, maybe ever. And third, the fact is that the market rewards layoffs through higher stock prices, right? The company doing layoffs now, they aren't really struggling financially, and their stock is higher than it's been in years. So that's a sad fact. But also, I believe that they are shoring up their cash reserves now to prepare for uncertainty and, of course, pay the bigger tax bills. They're preparing maybe for tech breakthroughs brought on by AI, and add in the fact that they can hire staff from anywhere now if they want to, leverage those global marketplaces for staff. That could be a factor. Although I will say, just a quick note, Section 174 makes it much harder for US companies to hire as full-time employees staff overseas because they have to amortize those expenses over 15 years instead. So I presume that they may want to hire gig workers or have offshore, divisions where possible. So lastly, herd mentality. Everyone is doing it. Meta laid off staff and has never been more profitable. So in all these explanations that I'm giving you, no one's really saying they're laying off because of AI. Of the hundreds of thousands of jobs lost, I believe the number stated for losing jobs due to AI was like under 6,000. So it's still early days. But we can't deny AI has changed the world dramatically in just 16 months. And it is primarily due to generative AI. Education, how we search for jobs, coding, content creation, everything you could imagine. It's changed my life. Just 1 year ago, I was working as an enterprise transformation consultant after being laid off as the director of Lean Agile Center of Excellence at a large tech company, which had been sold. And for the past 3 years, I knew that agile jobs and leading agile transformations was on the decline, but I didn't have anything really to replace it with. So I was kind of struggling, like, what do I do with this? I mean, after leading a transformation, where do you go anyway? So thankfully, AI came on the scene. It gave me a direction I could take with some intentionality, because once I started to use Gen AI to help me build engaging workshops, set up the structure for a book I wanted to write, I felt like I could do anything. I love to learn. But it was also a point on my mind that it had been 25 years since I did anything technical. And even then, it wasn't really my passion. I was more an enabler for tech folks than I was an actual technologist. And a down job market doesn't always reward generalists. And I felt my lack of technical knowledge had become a barrier to entry, especially given the market. So when I was laid off again in October, I decided to take the leap and join the data science program at MIT, as well as building chatbots. So just curious, how often do you leverage Gen AI in your daily work? Maybe you can type in the chat. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Yeah, you can type in the number 4, 3, 4s, 3s and 4s. Awesome to hear that. Thanks so much for participating. Okay. In this AI impact analysis on jobs from the World Economic Forum, you can see that AI in IT will have the biggest impact, where almost 3/4 of our tasks will be significantly changed by AI, but that doesn't necessarily mean replaced. The rate and impact of change of new tech and new capabilities and new uses of the tech, all feeding off each other, will drive greater change than we have ever seen before. So let's talk about what kind of change, what kind of impact that might be. As the cost of almost any knowledge in the world approaches zero for the first time ever in history, every knowledge worker's job will change by the end of this year. This is about widespread democratization of knowledge, akin to when books were invented, but at a much larger scale. Imagine any question you have answered at the push of a button. This is what I envisioned the internet would be like back in the 90s. It's like having a little android or a colleague that you can ask anyone, or like tapping into the hive mind like the Borg. And so to me, it's not a threat, it's an opportunity. Just consider what has become easier over the past 6 months. When I decided to take the data science program at MIT, and I spoke with the program manager and said I wanted to join, she asked me, "But Heidi, why this? This is nothing like you have done before." And I told her I saw the opportunity in front of me and said, "If not now, then when?" And that became my mantra for months as I studied really hard to grasp many new concepts at the same time. Honestly, it was the hardest thing I have done since I took COBOL and Fortran and advanced calculus in college. But now I had a tool to help me. I created a custom GPT. I named it Data Science Study Buddy and shared with the other students in my cohort, and had constant chats with the data science study buddies. I was learning Python, trying to understand the concepts of linear algebra, give me a story about what an eigenvector is, and business statistics was also a new thing, and how to write a report if I was a data scientist. So there are vast bodies of knowledge now available for free that used to take years and cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to obtain and maintain, and you can leverage it. And so you may see the layoffs in tech, but guess what? While job postings have declined in tech, the AI category actually has seen huge growth. So AI proficient roles have gone from nearly non-existent to an increasingly significant portion of the tech market. Machine learning specialists top the list. Data science going to increase 35%. Data analytics and statistics up 58%. And companies will need AI consultants to help them adopt AI. So yes, while there's a change for many and there's a huge opportunity ahead of you as well, let's not talk about how well knowledgeable those AI consultants may or may not be when they try to help companies, because that's a topic that I won't talk about right now. So there are many emerging jobs that are already known, and how you can take advantage of this is up to you. So consider how you can contribute to the revolution happening. At the top is nuts and bolts, extremely technical aspect of any technology, like the data scientists, engineers, system integrators, the people who are actually building, the cloud technologists, cybersecurity, you name it. Those are like the doers back in the weeds. But there are also those who support those people, both inside the company and outside. So they're going to facilitate the adoption and application of AI across all of the sectors, educate, train people in AI competencies, explore innovative applications of AI, project managers, business analysts, corporate trainers, educators, creative professionals using AI as a tool for innovation, maybe even making TV shows and movies using AI. That category is going to be huge as well. And of course, we're going to be awash in governance and ethics professionals and research advocacy. But probably for this group, I will say the biggest opportunity might be in the strategy application portion there. So it might be scary to contemplate, but after having gone through this, there is room for both you and AI in the workplace. Plenty of room. So this is a photo of a fire engine carriage in the early 1900s in New York City. There used to be tens and tens of thousands of people maintaining the horses and the surrounding needs in New York City, from vets to carriage repair to horse feed. And those were all gone within 10 years of the car first coming out. Do we want to go back to horses? I think few people would. And so here are some statistics. By 2030, 12 million of us may need to switch jobs if you're in the US. And 9 million of us might need to find jobs in new industries altogether due to the change. We just don't know. What we do know is that this is only the start. AI will lead to new needs, new occupations that no one has thought of yet, just like the farriers, who are the people who put shoes on horses, and the groomers. Yeah, we just don't know. So to recap, I'm going to take a brief pause because I've been talking a lot and ask Jean if there are any relevant questions. So recap, the economy is strong, unemployment is very low, tech layoffs are still happening, but they might be slowing down, hopefully. There are many reasons behind the layoffs, many emerging jobs and opportunities related to AI, and AI will certainly create new jobs that don't exist today that no one can imagine. Jean, anything in the chat as far as questions?
Mostly comments, and I don't see question marks. Folks, in fact, Ryan and everyone, and if you would like to actually pose a question as opposed to making a statement, please do so in the chat so I can monitor.
Cool.
That's part of just interesting statements.
Thanks. Thank you so much for engaging in the chat. I really appreciate that. So what I see one there, what evidence do we have that AI will lead to new jobs or those jobs will be better paying? It happened with industrialization, but AI is not like industrialization. So the World Economic Forum has lots of statistics on that. So there are reports that you can read on the kinds of jobs and needs that will arise. And so top on those is actually data, stuff like data analytics. There are tens and tens of jobs in that category that appear to be good paying jobs that aren't just about AI. So as I continue talking, you'll see the opportunities not just in AI, but other technologies as well. So there are a lot of reports there. Some of the reports do say, it's like doom, you can doom scroll some of those. Hey, 300 million jobs may be lost. Other jobs will be created. Some people speculate that the losses will be slightly higher than the creation, but also remember that the baby boomers are now getting ready to retire, and I don't know if anyone is calculating that. So this year, apparently more people will be retiring than have retired at any other previous year in history. And so while they may contribute to continue to the workplace in other ways, a lot of them will actually be retiring over the next few years. So I think it's too complex for anyone to really know. But as I go on, you'll see there are a lot of opportunities just past AI. Will junior analytical positions be the first ones to be affected, or what positions are the one to be replaced the sooner? So I think AI right now is very narrow in capability. So those people who have easily like very narrow skill set, if I'm generating reports all day, well, maybe that might be a job that can go away. So that's one of the things that's really hard to predict, of how soon companies will want to adopt it. And remember that someone still has to be doing and supervising and working with AI. But I'll say there's still a lot of opportunity there. I'm going to move on before we run out of time, and then I'll come back to those questions at the end. Okay, so that was a lot of slides to talk about AI, but sorry to say, but let's take another step back and consider the overall world we're living in. It's more than just AI. There are more advanced technologies coming, and we are going to take that tech with a smear of AI all over it, like Internet of Things, smart cameras detect which is an animal or person, and then send me an alert. AR, VR for everything from gaming to science and education, blockchain and distributed ledger technologies, edge computing, where the device isn't connected to the internet all the time and it'll process data on its own, like self-driving cars. That compute actually happens at the car, not in the cloud. 3D modeling. Buildings are already being printed with 3D printers, so consider how that will change the building industry. Quantum computing, where our passwords will be obsolete overnight. And AI-powered robotics, that's already happening. There's a robot who can already make coffee and fold laundry and put the dishes away, and now they're getting very easy to train and even talk back to you because of Gen AI. And digital twins, that is, say an aircraft engine manufacturer needs to test an engine that they want to build. But to build one and test one is very expensive. So now they build a computerized model and they test that first. So all these technologies are incredible. So maybe other than AI, if that doesn't excite you, maybe one of these is calling to you. So if you're looking for a job in tech and to be remaining employable, then these fields are also really great bets to upskill. I shared that information because I believe the world will run on advanced technologies, and those who not only use it, but understand it will be much better leveraged. Me personally, I do believe it's going to be an imperative to understand the nuts and bolts of it. I'm not saying coding, but to understand how the tech works in enough detail to have a conversation with a data scientist or a machine learning engineer if you are interested in AI, or if blockchain, you could describe in detail how it works. And I'm certainly not here to bore you with statistics, but there is a lot of concern that I've seen in the chat and a lot of questions. And the World Economic Forum reports are actually really great sources of information. So companies actually expect many jobs to be created. This is the share of jobs by net job effect creation. So the purple is what jobs might be lost, and the blue is what jobs might be created. So aside from big data and analytics, you've got climate change mitigation, environmental management, encryption, cybersecurity, biotech, other technologies. So this is only just a tiny snippet of the list. And of course, these are just the top ones that I picked. So it's never too late to start learning something, and you can leverage what you already know to create niche knowledge, like how VR can be used in climate change or healthcare or banking or whatever. So try to think about your current skill set and then leverage some of these up and coming technologies so that you can build some new skill for yourself. It wouldn't just recommend someone to say, I want to learn AI, because you won't have a guide. I would say, learn AI as it pertains to your job in healthcare, or learn AI as it pertains to your job as a software engineer or a project manager. What tools can you leverage as a project manager or an engineer in AI? Because without an application, there's no real business need for AI. So according to the World Economic Forum report, 23% of jobs will be transformed in 3 years. Those are due to various reasons, right? Not just AI, automation, changing technologies, and it is certain that many jobs will be sunset, but new ones will be created. And so, as I said before, whether that's net positive or net negative is still yet to be seen, although sources speculate it could be more jobs lost than created. I'm not here to speculate because no one can predict that. Just like no one could predict the booming car service industry in the time of horses and people rigging up their cars with huge wheels and different kinds of things. So remember also that I said about baby boomers are going to be retiring en masse. There will be a huge increase in jobs related to climate change, sustainable agriculture, and other environmental improvements. And because of rapid change, as I think you now maybe understand, lifelong learning will be key. So it's not just that I can learn about AI today and I'll be good for the next 5-10 years. I have to keep upskilling and learning daily. What was also interesting in this report is that they're also predicting a lot more entrepreneurs and freelancers. So I'm going to talk about that. By 2027, 50% of the population will be estimated to be freelancing. That's 86.5 million people. There are many reasons for this. There's baby boomers. Maybe they want to keep working, or more younger workers want to work for themselves. Platforms for gig workers now exist, and more people want to live anywhere and work flexibly. So as automation and technology become part of every workplace, the focus is going to shift from rigid job duties to emphasizing skills, because roles will probably evolve faster than they can be updated. So goodbye fixed job responsibilities. Job descriptions will need to be flexible, and you will probably be put on whatever the highest priority project is that match your skills. And now they are coming out with platforms which could easily show in real time which skills you have to your employer. So you have to keep yourself updated. So what you see on the top is an actual application process for a job that I applied to as a test. So you can see the flow. So I had a basic fit check, which was basically me answering questions related to the job description, whether I fit them, what kind of degree I had, whether I was available to work X hours. Then it's having me do a skills assessment, which took an hour and 40 minutes. After that, a real work assessment. And then only after that, the application would probably get reviewed by a human. Then, or maybe even the AI would spit out the final passing results, I assume, right? So then I get an interview with the hiring manager, finally get the offer. So it's going to be gone are the days when we have multiple rounds. In fact, this company promised that you would get a job offer within a week of starting the process. So the other thing is the future skills that employers think you need are still many skills that you probably already have today. I have been working on this skills assessment to enable people to thrive in complexity for about 8 months now. So I was glad to see many of the things that I had identified on this list when I started to do this research. And so that's very good news. And I will say, analytical thinking, I thought that I knew a lot about analytical thinking up until I took my data science course. And it turns out there's a whole science on data analytics and business statistics that I had missed out on. So if you've never formally studied business statistics or data analytics, you may want to look there first. That doesn't mean that you need to dig deep in coding or anything, but it really is something very different than the metrics and the analytics that I had been doing. And if you're job searching, you're going to have to demonstrate to employers how you have exhibited analytical thinking or helped others have more creative thinking, for an example. But skill number 6 on this list is technological literacy. And I believe without that, you won't get to leverage your other amazing skills as much, because the world simply will be driven by all of those technologies, not just AI, but all of those ones that I mentioned. The second thing I'm going to say about this is these are the skills that employers think you need. So it's not actually holistic at all. So in a few slides, I'm going to share the skills that I actually think will be a holistic view for you to thrive in complexity. We are living in an age of extreme change and uncertainty. The housing crash, the recession, COVID, the banking crisis, and now AI. So I'm curious. I told you that my career was never stable. I saw the world changing around me frequently. I had to adapt to a recession, to an evolving career. So I'm curious if you could type in the chat, how much more uncertain do you think the world is today versus 5 years ago? It's 2019. Infinitely, hugely. A percent, still as uncertain, 25%, 80%. Right. Great. Thanks. Pablo is close. It's a 200%, according to the Accenture Pulse of Change, which measures many, many different aspects of change. Disruption is up 33% year on year, and actually it's getting worse. Well, more disrupted, right? What does that mean for us? If we need to remain employed, our careers and our lives will also be more disrupted. So we have to find a way of succeeding. The good thing is, even through disruption, the skills that will remain very relevant for jobs are also things that you have probably learned throughout your career. All these things: collaboration, adaptability, empathy, especially time management, decision-making, etc. So I'm going to pause here and do another slight recap. More advanced technologies are coming. It's not just AI. Many of our jobs will be transformed. There will be less of a focus on fixed roles and more of a focus on skills that you have. So you will need to upskill frequently. Many, many more people will be freelancing. Exponential uncertainty is here already, and you already have a lot of skills that will be extremely useful in the future. Yeah. In July 2023, I began working to delineate a set of skills that I have been leveraging over the years, and I thought it would help people to thrive in a complex and uncertain world. At that time, I wasn't specifically thinking of AI, but that has evolved over the past few months as I contemplated this talk. So I came up with these 6 skills, and one thing people could do to find themselves more prepared to thrive and remain in a position to earn a living in an exponentially uncertain world, driven predominantly by exponential technological advances. So 6 things and 1 central element. So each one, I'm going to share the skill, what it means, and tell you a story of how I embraced this skill for myself. Then I'm going to share 1 question for your own personal reflection. It can't cover everything, but I believe it'll be enough to get you thinking. And the last one is going to be your personal mission. Ingenuity is the first skill that I think people will need in an era of exponential uncertainty. I had a lot of names for this when I was thinking about it, like innovation, is it creativity, is it continuous improvement? But in the end, I chose this word ingenuity because it encompasses a bit of all of those things. And ingenuity also conveys the proactivity that you will need to thrive in an exponentially changing world. It's the importance of continual learning, curiosity, experimentation. And so how do I live this skill? I explored around the edges of my career or role. So as I was learning through my career, I always poked on the edges, right? I was always remaining curious about being employed. That was my top number one on my mind. So what can I explore? What's different to the majority point of view that I could learn from? I looked at other industries about what I could learn and borrow from my job. What's coming next? So we founded an Agile Meetup group online, and we had speakers talking about psychology and team dynamics. Few people were talking about those things at the time, is how it related to Agile. Immunity to change back in like 2017. Ingenuity isn't a spectator sport, so you have to pick an area of interest, conquer your fears, and get your hands dirty with something. Maybe it'll be coding for you. Well, I tried it, but that's not for me. Maybe it's building something with your hands or a new sport, but each thing that you try and you learn will stretch your brain. And one of my experiments led to a successful patent. But don't just do what everyone else is doing, right? Find something that you are interested in, that the world wants, and find a way you can build a story around it with your current skill set. And so the theme these days really is upskill. And you heard that through this talk already, but it's about learning new skills of all kinds that maybe you could fit together in novel ways, given your specific experience. Like, okay, who would have thought that I would enjoy building custom chatbots for content creators? Well, it's actually a cool niche. So for this self-reflection, I'm going to leave you with this. How can you express proactivity and ingenuity in your own unique way that might create a new niche for yourself? So for tech literacy is the skill number 2 that I believe that you'll need to survive in an era of exponential technological change. We can't just use it. We have to be integrating these things in our daily life, in our decision-making process, enhancing our problem-solving skills. So I use ChatGPT and other LLMs basically as my coworker or my colleague to give feedback. When I was done with this talk, I uploaded it to ChatGPT and I asked it for feedback. So it's, where can you leverage these skills? Where can you enhance your own problem-solving skills, gain an edge, and leverage technology in that way? So your journey might be different than mine, but I'll share how I achieved tech literacy in AI. First off, I use it daily. That's step number 1. That got me enough figuring out how it could help me. Then I started my program in data science, and the skills needed for AI are centered on machine learning, data science, including business statistics, which I've already talked about, and how LLMs work. And I was prepared to learn Python, but I was unprepared for business statistics, which is a whole field, and linear algebra, which is not the algebra that you may think. And also looking at the data and cleaning and pre-processing it. So I always knew that most data is junk, but this really, really brought it home to me. So if you don't have access to good data, or what you're trying to do isn't predictable, then machine learning won't really help you. And so once I started to get my feet under me and learning, and I put a lot of time and effort in it, when I started the program, my goal was to confidently lead a data science or machine learning or AI initiative or team inside a company. And now I feel I could do this successfully. But what was missing from my course was something called ML Ops. I was working in Jupyter Notebooks. We had the model, but they didn't even tell us how to deploy it and how to update it. So that field is still pretty nascent. So that's where I would go next if I wanted to build my career in data science more than what I've done so far. I would say just determine the technology that interests you, one of those things, hopefully on the list, determine the goals you want, and then start learning. So the question I have for you is whether there is somewhere you haven't yet leveraged technology, say AI, but could. And since AI works best on narrow tasks, find a narrow task and see where AI can help. One simple example, the speaking coach in PowerPoint. I know I need to level up my speaking game again after a long time away from speaking regularly. And the AI speaking coach in PowerPoint is a lot more helpful than I thought. So maybe you have a task like that, whether it's improving an email, writing a blog post, but wherever you haven't tried it yet, try something new. The third skill is intentionality. That is the thing that's going to help you make strategic decisions. So if you can't manage your attention effectively, and I hear you on, I love to learn, but you'll be picking up a lot of things and not making real progress on anything. So I love to learn. There was a value going deep as well. I basically put pause on everything. So I've embraced intentionality many times over the years. You have to think about what you really want and exclude everything else that doesn't fit there. So for example, I was in the middle of writing my book. I really thought I was going to be done by the end of the year. And then I put that entire thing on pause to do the data science program. I set a goal to not work, not even worry about applying to jobs, but simply just upskill on the data science and AI chatbots. And my goal was to successfully complete the program. And I had a backup plan. I was going to take it all over again if I didn't pass it the first time. So I said no to a lot of things. And I'm not saying that everyone could say no to paid work, but you'll have to make a conscious trade-off for what you want, or else you won't make progress on your goals. So when you get really clear about what you do want, then things will start to happen. So I'm going to leave you with this. What are you willing to say no to so you can make more progress on something that will really make a difference for you? And the fourth skill is resilience. This is about emotional resilience, your stress management, as well as proactivity about your health. And it highlights the need for consistent personal reflection and a commitment to ongoing self-evolution. So, well, I lost everything twice. I was laid off more than once. So 2010, 2020, and twice in 2023. And it wasn't like everything was magical, but I had to find a way to not only survive, but thrive. So I read all the books I could, and I found common themes to all of them that were science-based to help me thrive amidst chaos. I learned to meditate, reflect, think happy thoughts daily. I had to take ownership of my health. And more importantly, along the way, I learned that I can't control everything and that my anxiety was caused by trying to control the uncontrollable and not listening to myself enough. So I share this story because what's important is not where you are today or even where you were in the past, but the journey you're taking to continually improve your resilience to uncertainty and change, your okayness of going with the flow instead of being frustrated or upset with the current state of things. Yep. So I will leave you with this. Your body can only serve you when you treat it right. And uncertainty increases stress response in humans. So how easy is it for you to remain calm in times of uncertainty and change? Uncertainty isn't going away. So if you're struggling, is that an area that you want to work on? Number 5. The whole reason that Homo sapiens survived over other species is because we had the ability to band together and work as a team. Consider that for a moment. There were other human-like species. They were not able to come together and solve bigger problems than they could solve individually. They fought with each other and they were just different. If you want to survive in this interconnected world, the ability to effectively engage with communities and work collaboratively with others is crucial. Foster community connections. Utilize your personal strengths and networks for mutual benefit and community growth. So building an ecosystem that will sustain itself is not just about you, but everyone involved. So find a group that you enjoy. I've certainly found groups that were not my tribe, and I have found ones that for some reason I just was more in tune with. Community is going to drastically increase the surface area for opportunities and synergy, and it will drastically improve your chances of getting a job, especially when thousands of people are auto-submitting applications to AI. Referrals will become even more important. In fact, if you are searching for a job, and whether you're employed or not, why would you search alone? That's actually the principle behind the Never Search Alone community, which I highly recommend. You come together as a small group and you support each other while searching for jobs. So you can check that out at phil.org, phyl.org. I'll share that again at the end. So let me tell you how I embraced community. And this was actually something that took me outside of my comfort zone. I'm an introvert and I love just 1 or 2 people, or maybe 3 at the max, but I don't like to go to networking events. It's so overwhelming. But I started coaching Agile Journeys as one of the folks, and we kept it going for over 5 years when we sunset it during COVID or right after COVID. I mostly worked for multinational corporations and have worked remotely for so many years. I never had a strong local network. So that was definitely a gap for me. So now, despite my discomfort, guess what? I attend morning meetings at 7:15 a.m. once a week or so, where the goal is to actively support each other's businesses and each other. They have referral goals for revenue. It's really a great support system. So if you're looking for work, any kind of work, the best thing you can do is support the community. 80% of people get jobs through their networks and someone they know. So cast your net wide, support and lift up others, not only when you need help, but always. I will tell you that those relationships I built 7, 8, 20 years ago are sustaining me now, and those people are here in the audience too. So that is what community can do for you. So I'm going to ask you, whom in your life can you support today? And from whom are you going to ask support? So the last one is diversification. I know I talked a lot about intentionality before, and you might feel like there's a tension there, but the world would not survive without some sort of diversification. That's what makes the earth resilient. So if one species of fish, for example, has a disease, there are others that the entire ecosystem doesn't collapse. Keep this in mind for yourself. In an exponentially uncertain world, diversification of income, investments, and interests will keep you resilient through many changes. How did I embrace this? Well, I've had full-time jobs and contracts most of my life, but early on I invested in some real estate. Of course, I had some other investments too. I bought a house to rent when prices were lower, and I rented it by room so that if one person left, the house would not be empty. I was really young, and this was my risk reduction strategy. I sold my real estate to move to Florida and had to reinvest the money. Well, the market crashed. I lost 99% of it, but that was just one angle, right? I had jobs. I took side gigs. I was even a dance instructor. I was a coach. I consulted. I tried a bunch of different things, which of course most didn't pan out, but that didn't stop me because I'm learning. So now I'm writing a book, building chatbots, consulting with clients on their AI productivity needs. I will say putting your eggs in one basket is risky these days. And I know that this is going to seem like it consumes more time and energy. So find a way to build in some of those things sustainably. And I'm going to leave you with this question as you reflect upon an uncertain job market. If you have all your eggs in one basket, it will be a challenging moment when you lose that job. And so if you choose to do that, which there's nothing wrong with, everyone does it, then have some other strategies at play, like a big savings you can leverage or other skills you can leverage quickly. I have a friend who was a developer, but chose to bartend a few nights a week when he wanted to shore up his savings, and he did that for a few years. So how diversified are your income and investments? And is there some action that you want to take? Right. So those are the 6 skills to succeed in the era of AI and exponential change. But of course, we left something out, your personal mission, which will really guide you in how you choose to invest in yourself and those other skills. So without having this personal mission, I knew those 6 things. I was living them, but I was struggling to understand where to focus. I didn't know my why. I felt like a ship without a rudder. So I really spent a lot of time reflecting on what it was that was stopping me from truly defining the core of me, what it is that I wanted. So finally, I came to realize that the fear was because if I recognized what I truly wanted, I would have to abandon maybe what others expect of me, or maybe some options or jobs that could possibly come my way. So I took the dive and I went for it. And I'll tell you this, my mission is to connect people all over the world with the information they need to succeed. And that's what connects technical writing to agile transformations, to value streams and AI chatbots. And that's what drives me to share information on how to thrive in an uncertain job market driven by AI, tech changes, layoffs, and COVID. And so there's a lot that can fit into this category, and yet it's limiting, which is freeing because I know my focus and I know what drives me. So here, what makes you excited to get up in the morning? It's the thought of doing what that makes you excited. So I don't have any lengthy personal exercise for this due to lack of time, but consider the thread that's been constant through your life and how you can leverage that in the future to get what you want. And yeah, to recap just briefly, over the years, I realized I've developed 6 skills, 1 guiding mission to help me succeed. Reflect on these, but be intentional. You have to say no in order to make progress. There are huge opportunities in front of us. You just have to seize them. It might require you to step out of your comfort zone, though. What do you say? Are you ready? That's it. So you can scan the QR code to connect with me. If you want to join the Job Search Council, that's phil.org. Questions, feedback. This is a brand new talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Heidi. Been an amazing talk. Thank you very much, folks. We got 9 minutes remaining, and we are going to be ended on the clock, on the dot, on the hour. So the floor is yours. Would you like to ask Heidi any questions? Just raise your hand or just shout out.
Yeah, type it in the chat. Oh, hang on. Let me see if I could. Okay, I've allowed people to unmute themselves also right now.
Sure. Can't be too safe these days, right?
Hello, I had a P1 issue and joined the call late. Will this be recorded and sent to those that registered for the meeting?
Yes, G?
Thank you.
I would like to get the material because I think this is really, really good. Like so inspiring. Thank you for presenting.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Yes, the materials will be shared. Eugene will send out the information.
Yes, indeed. Anyone else, folks? Anything contextual to what Heidi has discussed?
I guess,
Ryan,
Samuel, go ahead. You beat me.
either one.
All right.
Samuel, go.
Thank you, Heidi, for such a great presentation. The insight was over 50% of the population in the US will be freelancing. So my question is, what would be your quick go-to roadmap for developing the skills to be an expert as an AI kind of enthusiast, educationist, strategist?
Wow, that's a tough question because everyone is starting from such a different place. But if you haven't used it and leveraged it yourself, then it will be really hard to advise other people. So you'll have to start there, learn all you can learn. And so while I can help people with my specific niche. So if your niche is, well, say I'm entranced with productivity and efficiency, but a people first focus. So I can help people improve their productivity with AI, but I couldn't necessarily help a machine learning engineer do something in detail, tech detail that I didn't have, or say a company develop a specific machine learning algorithm that they want that was outside of what I learned in my nascent MIT program. So find what skills you already have and look to apply AI there, and then with that niche, you can go out to the market and help people with what you've learned.
Thank you for that. Ryan, I think you were trying to ask something.
I guess I asked something earlier about if these softer skills like the ingenuity, all of these skills that are necessarily unmeasurable, particularly if they are so important to those in the hiring manager class there. How might those skills be measured? What do you know about how those priority skills that are beyond the technical skills of AI engineering, prompt engineering, how are those going to be measured, and how might we engage in that more fully?
That's a great question because it is immeasurable in a lot of ways. So I would say just share the skill that you have. So creativity or analytical thinking, when you're looking to be employed, you could even share a brief video of how you help someone with their analytical or creative thinking, or how you exhibit that behavior. So I don't believe there's a really measurable way to do that. And in fact, if someone is looking for that, that might be a clue that maybe it's not the right place for you. So I think this is going to be a really tough thing as we navigate AI and hiring, and how human and humane it is or isn't.
Thank you. Thank you. Folks, we're probably good for another maybe 1 or 2 questions. Anyone else?
Yeah, hello.
Hi.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. First of all, thanks, Heidi, for your great, explanation about this AI and all. My question was, I'm a fresher right now. Like I'm also the student of computer science, but as a fresher, it's really difficult to enter in the market because all the employers, generally they looks for the people who have at least 2 or 3 years of experiences. So how can we deal with that? Thanks.
Thanks for the great question. So first of all, I know that employers are looking on a place called Kaggle for people who actually have exhibited their expertise in a particular area. So find a platform where you can demonstrate your actual skills. because then it will be much less about the years of experience and what you can do instead. And secondly, if you can find an application for what you're trying to do, find a program that you can write that you can then put out there and have people engage with it and get feedback on it. So that way you can share with employers, not only I built this, but I also got feedback from these people, or I got this many users of it. And that can display your also leadership and understanding of the world that way.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Pablo. Yeah, Kaggle is a great site. Cool.
We'll probably take one more, right? One more question, folks.
One more question?
We're good at that. Oh, wow. I see some old faces here. People that... Folks, one more.
Ooh.
Going once, twice. Vishal,
Yep.
please go.
Thanks, Jin. Heidi, great presentation. Thank you so much. It's truly motivating. As I said in the chat, thank God I joined, maybe in the halfway. A quick question. You said you will be sharing the community and the channels for the job search, for the networking more. You would be sharing it right now, or we would be contacting you offline?
Yeah, so good for the Job Search Council, it's go to phil.org. Yep, Ed has placed it there. So I definitely recommend that. And for the other website, it's Kaggle if you want to go ahead and apply there. But yeah, if you have any other questions that I haven't answered, say something or connect with me on LinkedIn and ask me there.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Probably this is a good time to break. We are like 1 minute before the hour, and I just want to spare a few seconds to personally thank you, Heidi, for coming out and doing this great talk. Very inspiring, very informative. Everyone who came out today, who joined us, thank you for finding the time. And what I would also like to encourage you to reach out to Heidi directly on LinkedIn or through any other channels, and we shall create a full transparency on that, so you can pick up her slides, her video, this recording essentially, and you can connect with her directly, okay?
Yeah,
And
good job, Heidi.
Thank you. Thanks,
thank you,
John.
Joe. John is here, of course.
Thank you.
Right, thank you. So we're gonna wrap this up for now. Thank you once again, and keep coming back. We are trying to grow bigger and bigger and make this more and more exciting. Today was an amazing talk. Heidi, once again, thank you personally.
Thank you. Have a great day, folks.
Everyone.
Thank you. Bye.